Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Idahoan Show. So the other day I was perusing the inventory of an online optics retailer and I came across this Nikko Stirling, I think it's the NX2 compact rifle scope. And what struck me about this particular rifle scope, according to the specifications on the website, was that it offers 4x magnification with infinite parallax and unlimited eye relief, or parallax-free operation, I should say, and unlimited eye relief, which is a really interesting combination because every other magnifying rifle scope that I'd ever seen had finite eye relief. Your eye has to be a certain distance from the eyepiece in order to use the scope. Now, a lot of non-magnifying optics, like red dot sights, do have unlimited eye relief and are parallax-free. You can use them at any distance, but they don't magnify the target. And so, the ability to offer unlimited eye relief with a magnifying scope really seemed to me like a revolutionary optics technology. Now I realized that it might just be a mistake in the database. Someone was inputting information in the website and copy-pasted specifications from the wrong scope or something. But it wasn't a terribly expensive scope, and if it was as revolutionary as what the specifications indicated, I wanted to try it out. A scope with unlimited eye relief could be used not only in the normal orientation, but also as a forward-mounted optic. Let me go ahead and move this to the gas block rail and show you what that would look like on here. So if we put that up there, now we have a forward-mounted scope, which offers certain tactical advantages, provides a little bit better situational awareness when sighting through the rifle. The ability to use a scope in either orientation would be great because both the standard mounting point and the forward-mounted option have their pros and cons. So I went ahead and ordered one of these, and the first thing I noticed when I got it was that there's a mistake in the database. It is not an unlimited eye relief scope. It does magnify, but just like any other scope, your eye has to be a certain distance from the eyepiece in order to use the optic, and that distance in this case is about 4 inches. It's pretty comparable to a lot of other standard rifle scopes that are designed to be mounted in the normal position. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but I recognized that there was a certain risk of that before I ever purchased the thing. So I figured I'd still, sight it in, make sure it was working correctly, and just keep it as a general purpose scope for this rifle anyway. Well, then I got to looking down the thing once I, mounted it on here, and I realized that the crosshairs were canted about 10 degrees. I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the camera, but let me try and show that to you. See, I've got the rifle pretty much straight up and down, and you can see how that's angled a little bit. You probably can't see that very well on the camera, but yeah, the crosshairs are actually rotated about 10 degrees off from being horizontal and vertical. So they're both at kind of an angle, and that's annoying. It's potentially a little disorienting, when you're trying to hold the rifle in a appropriate orientation for optimal accuracy. But in theory, once you got it zeroed, it should still work. So, I tried to zero the scope, and after a lot of fiddling with it, I finally got it to where it was shooting a group that was pretty well centered on my target at 100 yards. And then, I had the rifle leaning up against my bench rest, unloaded, empty, cleared, of course, and it fell over. Now, the ground is pretty soft right now because, we're in the spring thaw, the snow is melting off, the ground is all pretty much mud. And so it was a pretty soft landing. The gun's a little bit top heavy, or muzzle heavy, I should say, so kind of pivoted down and dunked the muzzle in the mud, and I had to clean that out, get the mud out of my flash hider. But after I'd cleaned it out, then I fired another group, and the point of impact had shifted about 8 inches just from that one little bump of the rifle falling over. So that was kind of the last straw, and I'm convinced that this is a completely defective scope. So the next step is to contact either the manufacturer or the optics distributor or both and see what they're going to do about this, and I will get back to you after I do that. Well, it turns out that the optics retailer actually has a reasonably generous returns policy. Due to a technicality in this case, I was not able to get a cash refund, but they did give me in-store credit for the full price of the Nikko Stirling scope that I purchased. And they even gave me a return shipping label, so I didn't have to pay for return shipping. So maybe that means I'll be reviewing some other optic in the near future, since I've got in-store credit with an optics retailer. But anyway, for the meantime, I went ahead and put this cheap red dot on here. This is the one that I bought when my Bushnell TRS-25 died unexpectedly on me, and that I had on the Utah pistol until Tom from Tom's Gold Dirt sent me one that was a little more size appropriate for a handgun. This one is pretty enormous for use on the Utah, but on a rifle like this, it fits about right. And since this does have unlimited eye relief, albeit with 0 magnification, I can use that as a forward-mounted optic or as a standard-mounted optic if I so choose. But anyway, I think that about covers what I wanted to talk about in this review. So until next time, thank you for watching the Idahoan Show.